Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Matthew Watty's channel. We are continuing on with the WWE Masters of the Universe action figures. So, in the last video, we did review figures from series 1 through 3. Now, as you guys remember, I only had about, 4 figures. So, each series had 4 characters per wave. And I had one figure from Wave 1, 3 figures from Wave 2, nothing from Wave 3. Again, generally I don't like making these type of videos when I don't have the complete collection. Now, if I'm very close, like, missing a figure or 2 here or there, that's a different story, right? But because I only had roughly half the collection, I really procrastinated on making these type of videos. But hopefully they are still enjoyable. I don't know how to go in and edit and insert clips so that you guys can actually see the different figures. But at least you'll have the names, and if you want to look them up, I mean, that should be, pretty easy, I guess. And of course, you'll be able to look at the back of the cards and be able to see what the figure is essentially going to look like anyway. So, the series began in 2019 and ended in 2022 with a series 8. So 8 series, a few years, not a very long run. What I was talked about in the first video, and it holds true, I really like what Mattel and WWE are doing with their figures. I really like these combination of different genres or different cartoons or stuff like that meshing into one. I talked about Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles joining forces, Ghostbusters and Transformers joining forces. I actually think Ninja Turtles actually combined with a few different lines. I could be wrong, but I think there is a WWE and Mutant Ninja Turtle mashup, if I'm not mistaken. Which line I can't remember, but if I remember correctly, I think that was a thing as well. But incorporating He-Man and Masters of the Universe along with wrestling was awesome. Again, what was the highlight of the World Wrestling Federation? But the 1980s. What was one of the most popular cartoons and action figure line of the 1980s? He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So I think bringing the two genres together was great marketing strategy, and their figures are pretty freaking sensational for the most part. Again, I don't have these figures loose, which really hurts. I've talked about Mattel's other line, Superstars. Absolutely love the figures on card, and to be honest, when I looked at them, I'm like, you know what? They could potentially be my number 3 favorite toy line, the Mattel Superstars. And then I got some loose, and I held them in my hand. I'm like, okay, in package, they're brilliant. Out of package, they're so-and-so. Average, a little bit above average, but not as highly as I would hold, let's say, original San Francisco, which I'm still rating as my number 3 favorite, just behind Hasbro and LJN. Diving into the first wave of this video, the 4th wave overall. I don't have any of these figures. Released in 2020. This was the 3rd release of 2020. They included guys like Bray Wyatt, Jake Roberts, Mr. T, and Seth Rollins. Now from there, Jake Roberts and Mr. T, you would think absolutely would have jumped on those guys. And for whatever reason, I kind of feel like I had those guys, but I'm looking around, and I don't, which is odd, but so I'm missing those 4 guys. I don't have anything from Series 4. In Series 5 and Series 6, I do have the complete set, which is great. Both Series 5, Wave 5, and Wave 6, both did come out in 2021. So, with Wave 5, we are going to start off with one of the very first females that you see in this line, and I think, to the best of my knowledge, outside of Stephanie McMahon, and I think Chyna, was Chyna in this. I know Stephanie McMahon was, and yep, Chyna. So, the first release of a female wrestler in this line, and it's actually one of my all-time favorite female wrestlers, Becky Lynch. As you guys know, I don't actually watch wrestling, not for the past quarter century plus. But when I have gone back and watched, like, the 2019 or 2018 Royal Rumble up to like 2023 Royal Rumble. Obviously, I prefer the female Royal Rumbles more. A lot more aesthetically pleasing as far as the actual fights and techniques, the acrobatics and the martial arts. So much fun. And then you move over to like the male Royal Rumbles, and guy comes in, guy goes out. And this happens like 10 guys straight before they finally start building up the ring and everything, and I hate that. The Royal Rumbles for the females just seem so much more realistic. There's not one in, one out. It's one person dominating the whole time, standing in the middle of the ring, waiting for the next person to come in to throw them out. And like I said, their martial arts and their acrobatics is absolutely freaking amazing. Absolutely love it. Becky Lynch immediately became a fan favorite for me, and I would think 2018 was Asuka. I think she won the 2018 Royal Rumble, the first one. I think Becky Lynch was either a 2019 or a 2020 winner. I want to say 2019. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the red hair. I love redheads, so that's something. But she was just so much fun. Charlotte Flair, another one. Not Nyla Jax. Nyla Jax. Nyla Jax is another one of my favorites. Getting Becky Lynch, I think anytime I see a Becky Lynch action figure, I'll probably pick it up. Even something with those simple elite boxes, the little tiny thin ones. Just because I like the character, And she's got like this Amazonian look to her, which is absolutely fantastic. Comes with, looks like a spear and possibly shield, as you look at the graphics on the back of the box. Overall quality look, and I believe all of these figures should come with their own comic books. Yeah, you see like this little green outline here. That's actually the little comic book that comes with each individual figure. So Becky Lynch, pretty spectacular one, and not the most pristine card, unfortunately, but it's fine. I don't think a Becky Lynch Mo2 figure in the future will be valued that high. I just like it for the collection, so I'm happy with it. So again, we kind of keep them in order. Bam, bam. So that means coming at number 2 is Macho Man. Now every time I see Macho Man in black, I kind of look at him as like, WCW, NWO Macho Man. Same way when I think of, Black Hulk Hogan, etc. It's always going to be WCW, NWO color scheme. The Macho Man from like the 80s and 90s. The guy with the sunglasses, the cowboy hat, these, big long robes, and these jackets with the huge tassels. My Macho Man from WWF, that's the one I covet. WCW, they had a lot of great characters that came into WWF that I really appreciated, such as the Nasty Boys, such as Legion of Doom, Vader, one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I still consider Ric Flair to be a WCW wrestler. To me, he'll always be a WCW wrestler, no matter how much time he spent in NWA, WWF, etc. The Macho Man figure, again, is absolutely fantastic, color-wise. So, I'm pretty sure early stages of my life, I probably did watch He-Man, the He-Man cartoon, but I have absolutely zero recollection of that TV show. What was it? When I was in Afghanistan in 2017, I was contracting with Lockheed Martin, and because on a Special Forces camp, they had cable hookup in each of the bedrooms, so I was able to hook up a TV and have AFN on my TV, so I was able to watch like Fox and NBC and ESPN and stuff like that. And there was a show that Fox aired. It was kind of a unique series in the sense that it kind of blended animation with real life. The Son of Zorn. I thought it was so incredibly stupid, but I tuned in every week to watch it, so it did have its moments of intrigue. And so when I think about that, that's kind of like what I think about when I think of He-Man or, He-Man related characters. Was Zorn a He-Man character? I don't know. I have no remembrance of that. I just think of Son of Zorn as his own character. Well, Son of Zorn was the character. You know, his child was, you know, real life person, son. So it looks like this Macho Man comes with like a scepter or some type of deal, which is pretty great. You know, I really do like, you know, the bicolors with the white and black on there. That looks really sharp. Face sculpt. You know what? That face sculpt is actually pretty spectacular as well. What I like doing about these reviews with you guys is because a lot of the times when I get these figures in, yeah, I might look at it a little bit, take a quick peek, look around the cards to see if there's any damage, stuff like that, but I don't actually do full-on inspections. Like when I sit down here and I review these figures with you guys, it's literally the first time I'm actually taking a close, in-depth look at each individual figure. So, you know, it's much fun for me to make these videos, as I'm sure a lot of you guys to go ahead and watch them. So far, I think Macho Man is definitely a front runner for one of the top Motu figures. Alright, coming up next is Ricky Steamboat. Again, guys, what I can remember is the era of Hasbro. So when I think Ricky Steamboat, you know, his black karate pants type of deal, you know, that to me is nothing. The dragon look, this type of look, that's what I remember of Ricky Steamboat. You know, he was okay, but he was never like a fan favorite of mine. You know, he was just like a so-and-so wrestler. Not anybody that I particularly ever rooted for. Not like that. So, but I always liked the dragon look. I always thought it looked pretty spectacular. And the custom resin LJN I have of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with this type of look might actually be one of my favorite, if not my number one favorite LJN figure now. So, you know, if I ever do an LJN tournament again, my favorite LJN tournament, we are planning to do my least favorite. And I think that would be pretty beneficial. Because by knocking out my favorite, or my least favorite LJN tournament, we're going to be able to eliminate the figures that we know have absolutely no business doing be participating in a my favorite competition. And when we finally do knock out the my favorite LJN, if we do a third one, it just eliminates those 32 figures or 64 figures, however many we're going to do for the tournament. So Ricky the Dragon Steamboat has one of my favorite custom LJNs. Pretty much every figure with this type of look, with this dragon look, is fantastic. Is he a front runner? You know, top-notch figure for me? I have to say so. What I absolutely love is like the little pet dragon, little pet orange dragon like that situates right behind him. I mean, I think if this was a loose figure, I think people on eBay, excuse me, I think people on eBay could probably get $15-20 just for that dragon, not even including the actual wrestler. As much as I love the look of Ricky Steamboat, I think I like that dragon just as much. And it's a very simple, you know, accessory or whatnot, but Ricky Steamboat is pretty awesome. Alright, so the last one, and one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time, Roddy Piper. And for whatever reason, whenever I talk about like the Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper movie or their TV show, I always say Thunder in what is it called? Tropic Thunder, I think I called it. Tropic Thunder is not. It's the movie within a movie type of deal. Thunder in Paradise is the movie and TV show that they were part of. I remember watching that as a kid. I couldn't tell you any of the storylines or anything like that. I just remember like they were like cops or something, and they were always on a boat, and it was like some kind of like rescue mission type of deal, type of A-team type of thing, or I just don't have any recollections. I actually bought Thunder in Paradise, the movie, probably last year sometime, and I never watched it. And it's a shame because I really want to see that movie, kind of like build some memories back up. Roddy Piper is nice and big and bulky. Probably a little bit too bulky for his particular size, but when I saw Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper, I think it was the 2008 Royal Rumble, Obviously, you always have these legends return in later Rumbles. So, and just seeing how much Roddy Piper let himself go, that was disappointing. But, the man's also up there in age at that time, so it's like, it's fine. Everybody gains weight when they get older. Let's not make a big hoopla about it. Like I said, Roddy Piper, probably one of my top 10 all-time favorite wrestlers. Never anybody flashy or anything like that, but he was just so much fun. Even the LJN Royal Rumble that I did recently, one of my least favorite figures, but he's like one of those guys I was keeping the longest because, I just enjoy the character more than anything else. And his look of his action figure is pristine. So I don't think the kilt, well, it's more of a loincloth than a kilt, but I don't think any of that's removable. Oh, I lied, it is. You can see it on the back photograph here. So it maybe disconnects through the shoulders. I'm trying to see if I see like a hole or something on the shoulders where you could kind of like peel it apart. But Roddy Piper, definitely an awesome piece. Now, these figures from Series 5, they should not go for a lot of money. In fact, I think if you go on to, I don't know if it's Walmart or Target, but one of those two websites should have these figures still. And I think if you're paying more than $20 for them, try to search eBay or something, because I think all of those figures, when I bought them, I think I got them off of the direct website. I'm going to say Walmart. And I think they were like $12 here, $14 there, so I don't think any of those were like extremely expensive, which is the reason why I picked those particular figures up. So now that concludes Series 5. Where are we at? Wow. So this actually took longer than expected. We'll knock out Series 6. I'm pretty sure you guys will be okay with the 30-minute video. So Series 6 was also a 2021 release. And we will start off with Goldberg. Now his picture on the top, that is freaking phenomenal. I love that. Kind of like a gladiator cyborg type of deal to him. And a little axe accessory. Incredible. I will never be a fan of Goldberg because the man essentially was responsible for ending the career of one of the greatest legends in professional wrestling ever. And, I think Joe Mauer was one of those guys as well, sustained a concussion and was never the same ball player. And which, oddly enough, kind of going off topic, Joe Mauer was actually inducted into Hall of Fame recently. I'm like, he was a phenomenal player. I give him credit going into the Hall of Fame, the Minnesota Twin Hall of Fame, but the National Baseball Hall of Fame, no. He was a great player, but he just wasn't Hall of Fame worthy. All right, back on topic now. Goldberg, again, another one of those figures that, I don't think any of these figures about the show should sell for more than $15. So if you're interested in picking them up, I say go on to the walmart.com and see what you can get. Definitely a great look of the character. And, Goldberg has a few good looking figures. His Mattel Retro... Nope, I was wrong. That was Steve Austin. Goldberg had the Mattel Retro with the hands in, the jumper figure, which is horrible. So, Goldberg is not anything super flashy. This one I love because he's one of my all-time favorite characters. Kane. Is Kane, in my opinion, a top 10 wrestler for me? See, that's a tough one. I love watching Kane, going to battle and whatnot. He is such a dominating force, just like The Undertaker. But I don't know if I necessarily spent enough time watching him when I was young. I can remember Isaac Yankem, and I think I was watching when he transitioned to that Kane character in the later half of the 90s. But like I said, man, 97 was really the last I was really watching wrestling on a consistent basis. But overall, the look of the Kane character, one of my all-time favorite looks. This is a gorgeous looking piece. And it seems like the Kane figures in general, they're always done really extremely well. You think of guys like Jimmy Snuka and Ravishing Rick Rude. It seems like they always get some of the worst action figures ever made. But Kane always has a far superior figure than most from a respective toy line. And look at those graphics. Amazing. So he's got some kind of like, it looks like his gun actually doubles as his hand. So that's pretty interesting. Kind of see how the figures separate. This is why I really want both carded and loose figures, because obviously I want card figures because I just think they display better. And loose figures, I just want them for, you know, when I do reviews, it's nice to show you the full functions. I'm never going to pop these open. Now, if I hang them up on the wall and they fall down and crack open, that's a different story, right? But look at his hair. His hair looks like it's actual human hair. I mean, it's not. It's like painted on there with, you know, brown and orange, but that looks so fantastic. I like that a lot. That is a beautiful looking figure. Definitely one of my favorites from the line. Next up is the second female member of the WWE Motu wrestlers, and it is Stephanie McMahon. A very simple figure. In general, when you got these female wrestlers, their body types are so extremely thin and small. I hate it. This one, it's okay looking. More of like a Batwoman or a Catwoman type of look than anything else. But, I mean, I'm not blown away by the figure. Would I buy it for the collection? Absolutely. But, like, am I going to sit down and be like, oh, man, that's something I can't live without? No. Like, if I had every single figure loose and carded, but I needed this one to complete the collection, and it was on eBay for like $50, would I go for it? Probably not. Not for no $50. I mean, $10, and if I had to pay $10 shipping or something, you know, I'd have to suck that up. But, I mean, overall, it's a very tiny, I think for most people, especially if you know that these are going to go for, you know, your sons, you know, your small sons, you know, 5 years old, 10 years old, whatever, they're not going to be able to make use out of this. Not really. But Stephanie McMahon, you know what? Vince's daughter, how could she not have her own figure, right? And I think she may have got her own Bendham back in the 90s with Just Toys, but I could be wrong about that. But there were quite a few, like Sable and Sonny, you know, China, they all got their figures. So I'm trying to remember if Stephanie McMahon got one. The last figure, and I think with this particular character, he's got two different versions from Motu. So one here in Series 6, and did he have another one? I thought he had two of them, but I guess I was wrong. Yeah, so I guess he only has one figure. Nope, I lied. He had one in Series 1. So here in Series 6, he has his second release. So the first one was like a orange and green type of release, and this one I kind of classify as like red and white. So Ultimate Warrior, love him or hate him, he always has some of the greatest merchandise. You know, there's a reason why Vince McMahon and WWF was pushing Ultimate Warrior in the late 80s, early 90s. People were getting tired of Hulk Hogan, which I don't understand. I mean, the man is like the greatest entertainer of all time. Well, the greatest entertainer of wrestling, okay? The greatest entertainer, like, you gotta put, like, Michael Jackson up there, you know, as far as greatest entertainer. You know, Elvis Presley even, but, again, different genres. Music compared to athletics, so. But Ultimate Warrior, again, awesome looking piece, and as you can see here, you know, his chest protectors does actually come off. It's got an awesome red cape back there. Like I said, guys, when I look at these figures, I'm essentially giving it its first real look over with you guys here. The little warrior mask, or I kind of look at it as like, you know, Batman, the Batman face with his paint job. I've always been a huge fan. It doesn't matter what paint job you use. You can just create your own gimmick, your own special color design. Ultimate Warrior always has some of the best face paint. I absolutely love it. His figure is fantastic. You know, he was this big brewed bodybuilding guy, you know, incredible shape. And so he always has these big, thick figures, which is fantastic. I love the figures that have some extra weight to them. And just picking up this figure compared to like some of the others, you can feel the weight of this package. And unlike guys like King Kong Bundy, you know, King Kong Bundy for LJN or Yokozuna for Hasbro, when you hold those figures in your hand compared to others, yeah, you feel the major difference. The King Kong Bundy thumb wrestler has such substantial weight differentiation when you look at the other thumb wrestlers, right? But just the fact that, you know, he was heavy, but not because he was, you know, fat or anything. He was just a big, muscular guy, bodybuilder type. And his figure is absolutely fantastic. Again, the artwork. I mean, I think I would love to open these up just for the simple fact of collecting the comic books. And that's another thing. When you collect, when I decide one day to go out and collect these figures loose, if they don't come with their original comic book, that's like another whole nother collection I gotta create to acquire all of those comic books. I'm just curious what the insides look like and whatnot, and that would be an awesome review video of itself, just kind of going through the pages of the comic books. So one last look at Ultimate Warrior before we close this video, and like I said, guys, first video, we looked at the first 3 series, or at least brought up the names for the first 3 series of characters. We look at the series 4 through 6 here. Obviously, I had nothing for series 4. We have all of 5 and 6. The last video we're going to make is going to feature series 7 and series 8. And I have all of series 7, and I have 1 out of series 8, so 5 figures. It's going to be a relatively quick video, probably 15 minutes or so. Yeah, that should pretty much knock this out. And once again, I'm going to stay down here and polish off that video as well. And it'll be in queue, ready to go when the time comes. So guys, as always, you know, thank you so much for watching. I guess until next time. Goodbye, everybody.